Welcome back to the Greenville Chamber's Growing a Greater Greenville podcast. We're excited to continue our Greater Together series on the partnerships that shape Greenville. I'm your host, Carlos Phillips, and today we're talking to Representative Wendell Jones. Wendell is president of the Wendell Jones Leadership Institute. He represents House District 25 for the South Carolina House of Representatives. He's also the facilitator for the Greenville Chamber's Minority Business Accelerator Initiative. And as my grandmother would say, he is also an esteemed man of the cloth. Before we start, I want to take a moment to thank the sponsors of today's episode: Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina, First National Bank, and Acumen IT. Thank you to our sponsors. All right, Wendell, let's jump right in. All right. Welcome to today's podcast.
Thank you for having me, buddy. It's good to be with you.
Likewise, my friend. As a small business owner and entrepreneur, facilitator for the Minority Business Accelerator Program, and a state representative, we have a lot of ground to cover today. So let's start with the MBA. For our listeners who are unfamiliar with the Minority Business Accelerator Program, tell us a little bit about it.
All right. Listen, I promise everybody, I'm just going to admit it up front. I'm biased because I absolutely love this program. The Minority Business Accelerator Program is exactly what its name says. It is a wonderful endeavor that our chamber here in Greenville took the lead of, and others have followed since. Our goal is to teach minority entrepreneurs, give them the tools and the skills to take their wonderful ideas and now give them the mechanisms and the know-how to scale their businesses. Yes, it provides great return for the entrepreneur, but it also provides incredible uplift for the community in terms of additional employment opportunities. And so it is a wonderful thing that the Greenville Chamber has been doing. What now, Carlos? About 12 years?
About 12 years now, yeah.
About 12 years, and it is definitely making an impact. We got several companies throughout the upstate that have benefited from it, and we're hoping to continue that flow and invite others to come in and learn those same attributes that those that have gone before them know.
Yeah, thanks, Wendell. It is a great program that's been in place for well over a decade. Has impacted a lot of minority-owned, women-owned, veteran-owned businesses throughout the community and now throughout the state.
Yes, absolutely.
Good. And tell us, what is your role as a facilitator?
I am the facilitator, the agitator, the big brother, the therapist. My job is to walk them through this incredible curriculum that we have from Enterprise. Enterprise is our great partner in terms of the curriculum. And it really takes them through these modules in which every organization needs if their aim is to scale their business. We really hone in on how to create smart goals, get out of the gray, become very specific about what you want, which not only empowers the entrepreneur, but also empowers the employee to know what he or she needs to do every day. And then we go to that favorite module of everybody. I'm being sarcastic, but it's my favorite. Financials, really learning to read the numbers and let the numbers tell you about the health of the business. And from there, we go to marketing and sales. And then we leave that and go to HR and our banking relationships and figuring out how to have good partnerships with the anchor institutions in your city. And so when we combine all of that together, it creates this ecosystem around our entrepreneurs that allows them to succeed if they'll trust the process, work the process. And we have great results. We have wonderful stories to tell by those who fully engage themselves in the process, and they're doing quite well.
Good. Now, what motivated you to take this role? So I think you've been in the role now for 2 or 3 years.
About 4 now.
About 4? Okay.
Honestly, with my leadership institute, I was already teaching entrepreneurship, and I'm a student, as you can see by my bookshelf. I proudly wear the name nerd.
I see several leather-bound books behind you.
Yeah, quite a few, buddy, quite a few. But I was in the process of searching for, trying to create curriculum myself through my institute that was going to bring about community uplift. Because what I've come to learn, Carlos, is that the backbone of every society, every community is a small business community. And when we see various groups employ this mindset, this approach, and it builds up their community, it builds up wealth, it creates job opportunities. And so I was looking to create something like that. And then Nico White approached me, and lo and behold, Enterprise had already done that. Enterprise is approaching this the same way I was trying to approach it, not just to grow businesses, but to grow communities. And so I fell in love with the curriculum, and I was eager to jump on board and be a part of the team. And I'm loving it.
Yeah, and you mentioned Nico White, and we got to give a lot of credit to the launch of the Minority Business Accelerator Program and its sustainability to her. Just unbelievable leadership on her part.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Let's switch gears for a moment. Well, before we switch gears, how can interested entrepreneurs engage with Minority Business Accelerator?
Hey, go to the Greenville Chamber's website and do a little research on it first, and prepare yourself to apply next year, because we got to keep this rolling. We want to keep this rolling because not just for the program itself, but for Greenville. As you heard me say a few minutes ago, guys, small businesses are the backbone of every community. And so we're grateful for the Michelins, we're grateful for the BMWs, but believe it or not, those started out as small businesses. And so we got to keep the pump primed. We got to keep bringing more and more businesses to the area. So we need you to jump on board with this program and get the tools you need to be successful. And for those of you out there that feel like you've already attained that level, congratulations. Now it's your time to give back. We need you guys to be our coaches and our mentors. I promise you, our coaches have a ball. And normally what happens once you succeed, we all know this, we want to empower somebody else to do the same. That's the opportunity we want to invite you in.
Yeah, agreed. And the last point about the Minority Business Accelerator, the curriculum is pretty rigorous, would you say?
I chuckle because it is. But Carlos, the curriculum, the demands of the curriculum match the demands of being an entrepreneur. And so the curriculum does not ask more of you than what your business is going to ask of you if you're going to become the CEO you need to become in order to scale your business. The curriculum requires you to work on your business daily. Your business will require you to work on your business daily. The curriculum requires you to be a consummate student. You'll never arrive. You're always learning. You're always adjusting. Your business and all the things around it that keeps evolving, it's going to require you to have to take on that type of behavior. And so it's demanding, but it's building the muscle that you need to be a successful CEO.
All right. Thanks for sharing that, Wendell. All right. Now let's talk about the Wendell Jones Leadership Institute. Tell us a little bit about that and the services that you provide.
Well, I was a commercial banker for about 12 years, and then I launched out on my own. I purchased a nationwide insurance franchise over in Spartanburg, and aggressively opened a scratch one in that same year in neighboring Malden. Because, Carlos, I was a commercial banker. I know what I'm doing. No, I did not. What I realized when I transitioned from being the banker into the actual entrepreneur, even though I helped several entrepreneurs over the years, I had to realize that a lot of what I knew, a lot of what I thought I knew, was theory. Theory and reality conflict with each other quite a bit. And so as I got into my own business, I began to struggle in some areas, and it just dawned on me. I said, listen, if I'm struggling, I know others are too. So I took off and went to Kansas City and to the Kaufman Foundation and became a certified entrepreneurial coach. Spent a week there and subsequent meetings there to try to understand what it takes to become a better entrepreneur, but also to be able to teach those same truths so I could help myself and help my friends. And out of that came the Wendell Jones Leadership Institute. And so from there, I began to do some smaller classes here and there, some classes at my church, where I was eager to show people and teach people the things that I was learning so they could be successful and eliminate some of the faux pas we create as entrepreneurs.
Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina is a longtime partner of the Greenville Chamber and offers a wide range of health plans and options designed just for Chamber members. Companies with 51 or more employees have access to Chamber Blue, Blue Cross's exclusive portfolio of more than 40 unique health plans, with enhanced office visit copays, access to innovative apps, and more. Blue Cross is the only South Carolina health insurance carrier serving its citizens for more than 75 years. For information about our health plans for Chamber members, call the Greenville Chamber at 864-239-3723.
What is one piece of advice that you'd share with entrepreneurs looking to start or scale their own business?
That's a great question. I tell everybody, I said, and here's what's ironic about this, Carlos, what I'm about to say. You'll be surprised at how many entrepreneurs skip this. They absolutely go past this. And that is, you need to decide what you personally want from the business at the beginning, at the onset of this. And most people just jump into their business and they forget about themselves. And if you do that, you may end up creating a job or creating an organization that you absolutely hate. What you got to figure out is what's a big enough carrot for you to commit 40, 50, 60 hours a week of your life to it. What's a big enough carrot for you to feel like you're taking these risks every day of your life. You got to have something that you are aiming for that's going to meet your personal need. And you got to be specific. You can't tell me you want world peace. I need you to tell me something specifically, like a dollar amount, or you want to retire your parents. And then we're going to turn that into a SMART goal and quantify what does that take. And once you realize numerically what it's going to take to satisfy you, then you have to ask the hard questions such as, will this idea that I want to build a business around, will it ever reach that place? And if not, let's back up and punt. But it starts with you. It has to start with you. You got to take care of your star player.
So driving home our theme of partnerships, are there any community organizations that you've partnered with to help grow your business?
I promise you, I love Carlos, so I'm not schmoozing, but really, I gotta start with the chamber. I gotta start with the chamber, and because if the chamber is a wonderful organization, if you take full advantage of all that you guys offer. You can't just write a check. You got to take in the chamber. The chamber lays a table out for you. And so it brings you into the presence of people who can help your business to grow. So my relationship with the chamber introduced me with leaders in the communities, other entrepreneurs. And so I kept leveraging. But at the center of that, what got my business moving was my relationship with the chamber and all the little tentacles that the chamber has, and began to find places that I can reach people and talk to people and attend meetings and let them know what I'm capable of doing. And grow my business, and I was able to grow my business from there.
Well, Wendell, you may very well appear in our membership video.
We'll talk my fee offline.
Okay, all right. Spoken like a true entrepreneur.
Exactly.
But appreciate that plug, and also appreciate your support and your engagement.
Thank you.
All right. Now let's transition to another of your interesting roles. And that is a role that you play as a South Carolina elected official. And first, let me thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.
In that capacity. Now, how long have you been a state representative?
Carlos, I am still in my first term. This is the second year of my first term. So as some would say, I still have the tag on me.
Well, I would say you're still here. You're surviving.
Here, and I want to keep chipping away at it.
Good deal. I remember when we were talking about your run, and asked why the heck do you want to do this? Perhaps a more nuanced way of asking that question is, what informed you, what inspired you to run and to serve in this capacity?
You know, Carlos, when I began to fully realize the power of policy, and I have to admit, I took that for granted. You know, I'm out here trying to do some things. I'm out here, as I said earlier, trying to champion the uplift of communities. And I was able to do it in smaller settings and smaller groups of people. But policy gives you the ability to impact the masses. And so I had some ideas that I really feel and continue to feel that can be codified into policy, which allows more people access. Access is my motivating thing. The overarching thing, we can get more particular in terms of how I'm trying to facilitate that, but access is key to me, and access is important should be important to every South Carolinian, and so policy allows me to search for ways to pull more people into the economy, the economics of our state, our local economics, so that every individual at least has the opportunity to participate in the wonderful growth that Greenville is experiencing, Columbia, Charleston, this whole state is experiencing. But also it gives me a chance to do what I like to do as well, and that is teach. I'm a teacher at my heart. So I go in and learn how things really work and learn how this bill is going to impact you and bring it back to the constituents and say, here is the information. Here's how we can take advantage of it. Here's how this can improve your life. And so that's what really inspired me. Policy touches the lives of the masses.
Indeed it does. Indeed it does. Do you have any specific priorities or platforms that you want to accomplish there at the State House?
Absolutely. I alluded to it just now, but let's say it explicitly. My motivating factor is something that's almost starting to become cliche, but I'm fighting to keep it from becoming a cliche, and that is economic mobility, and for everybody. But I've also drilled down in that title or that category to focus on three particular things, and that's education, jobs, and housing. Education, in that my approach to education is that it had become crystal clear to me, Carlos, that every city, every county, including the state, designs its economy on purpose. There's an intentionality behind it. And so we need to try to encourage our people to be educated for the places that they want to live. That means because there's a lot of concern about affordability. There's a lot of concern about people living below the median income. But those particular companies that are recruited to Greenville, to Columbia, to Charleston, and in their efforts to design their economy are normally those economies that provide the highest wages. And so I'm pushing that our folks become knowledgeable of their local economies so they'll know what to be trained in if they want to stay here in Greenville. That can be applied to for our young kids that want to go live in Atlanta or Charlotte, whatever. What is that economy like? Have you been trained to be able to afford that? So that's where the education piece, and you get the education piece right. Now we're qualified, certified, educated for the jobs piece. And so now we're making the kind of monies that we need to make. And then the housing issue solves itself because now I can afford housing. And so now we do all of that, you stabilize communities. So that's my, some may call Pollyanna approach to politics, but I think it's workable, Carlos. I think it's very workable. So if you go back and look at any of the bills that I have in committee right now, you can place them under one of those three categories: education, jobs, housing. And jobs also includes my passion for small business. I got several, not several, but I got some very specific bills I got in place to try to benefit our small business community.
Yeah, you are certainly a champion for small business. So thank you for that. As a nonpartisan organization, the Greenville Chamber embraces bipartisanship and a collaborative spirit and approach. How does this play out in the State House? And is there more that our business community can do to support this mindset at the Capitol? I know that's a loaded question.
It is loaded, Carlos. It's loaded because right now, if you're paying attention to just politics in general and from a national level as well as state level, there's this growing sentiment of having a zero-sum game approach to politics. The winner takes all. That is, in my opinion, very short-sighted and it leads to unhealthy governance. We have some challenges with that in South Carolina. It's not the entire assembly. It normally happens in fringe elements of the assembly, loud fringe elements of the assembly. But there's a lot of resistance to that. There is resistance because bipartisanship is just healthy. It's unhealthy to believe that you're always right. It's unhealthy to believe that. And so our system of governance is set up for back and forth, set up for debate, set up for compromise so that we can create policies that benefit the most people and not just a base, not just a small segment of society. And so we're going to keep working at that. And so, but it is, we are challenged, but I'm pleased to say on both sides of the aisle, there's a great resistance to that zero-sum game mindset. And I'm very proud of that.
Good. And Wendell, how can businesses get involved and engaged with their elected officials?
Listen, businesses, advocacy is your right. I want the businesses to hear that. Our business leaders need to understand that the zero-sum game is not healthy for your business either. It turns off investments. It makes other companies reconsider investing in South Carolina, which could have helped your top line and bottom line because you have more businesses to do business with. Businesses need to show up at the State House and make sure that we are honoring our fiduciary responsibility to the state, honoring the intent behind our state constitution and national constitution, that bipartisanship has to be a bedrock in what we do. And businesses have a lot of clout. You have a lot of clout because you are providing tremendous income. You're providing great salaries for our people. We need you. Make sure that the General Assembly does not forget that we need you.
The voice of business is very important, and we'll continue to show up and be heard.
Let's turn a trip to the branch into a tap on your phone. Let's hit pause on a lost debit card without hitting pause on life. That's how First National Bank is redefining convenience. With a top-rated mobile app that puts more security and control at your fingertips, and friendly people to help you succeed right by your side. Let's get started at fnb-online.com or your local First National Bank branch. FNB, member FDIC.
Hey, we haven't touched a lot on your fourth. We haven't touched at all on your fourth role that you play throughout the day, and that is as a minister. And I want to ask you, how does your faith inform your path with your other three roles?
First of all, my faith won't let me quit. So that's the first thing. It pushes integrity and being a man of my word. I'm often asked, Carlos, how in the world are you able to do all of these things? And here's the truth, and it's tied into my faith, is that I discovered in my aim to be a person of integrity, I don't have to change who I am. I just have to change venues in which I present myself. So I'm the same. I got the same beliefs and the same principles as a pastor that I have as an entrepreneur, that I have as a statesman. They don't change. And many of the principles that I stand in front of a class and teach with the MBA students, Carlos, I can find those principles in Scripture. I can find them. And so what I do as a pastor, I take that wonderful book with those 66 books in it, and I teach our folks the principles of life, how to succeed in life, teach them governance. All governance is really about is how we're supposed to treat one another. And so all of those things inform me in my decision-making. I filter my decision-making through my faith. My faith tells me to be concerned about the least of these, the widows and the orphans. My faith informs me to be sympathetic and caring for the stranger. My faith informs me not to take advantage of other people. How God hates an unbalanced scale. I could go on and on and on. All these things guide me when I'm sitting down trying to figure out solutions to come up with to address a prominent problem in our state, in my community. It filters through that. And so it helps me not to be lured into being selfish, lured into too much tribalism. I got to think about us as a collective, because I don't care how hard we try to convince one another, Carlos, we are in this thing together. We are in this thing together. We are wearing the same jersey. Sometimes we act like we're not. But the thing is, if it may take longer for something to come to your footsteps, but it's on its way. And so we've got to start thinking like a collective. We really do. And my faith drills that down in my soul. And so that's how I try to approach every aspect of my life.
Wendell, thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much. All right. So we are going to wrap up our time today, but I'd like to ask you one last question. What advice do you have for other organizations or individuals creating their own partnerships to grow and advance their community?
Awesome. Well, the first thing I would say, I would give you a warning, and that warning is that your silos are killing you. Your silos are killing you. They're tempting because, again, it's very tempting to hunker down and focus on what's right in front of you. But again, as I stated in answering the previous question, guys, we are in this together. We are in this together, and we are better together. You don't have all the answers. You don't all have all the resources, but somebody else does, and we can get things done much quicker. Being quick, speed has to become something that we really think about, because our issues are growing. Our housing issues are growing. Our unemployment issues are growing. Our homelessness issues are growing. And so we need to bring solutions to the table as fast as possible. And the way to do that is through collaboration. The way to do that is to have open dialogue, even if it becomes heated from time to time. We got to figure out how to find the best solutions in the quickest manner in which we can, because the problems aren't waiting for us. And so that's what I would really, really hope that our organizations, our businesses, everybody in South Carolina would consider.
Excellent advice. Thank you for sharing that. And again, thank you, representative, facilitator, entrepreneur, and Pastor Jones, for joining us on today's Growing a Greater Greenville podcast. This has been great.
Thank you, my friend. I enjoyed our conversation.
I also want to thank again our generous podcast sponsors, Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina, First National Bank, and Acumen IT. And thank you for listening today and for supporting our efforts to grow a greater Greenville.